From the top rope, this is the Squared Circus.
Square! Ah! That's the cult phenomenon. You know what I think?
Recording in progress.
I realize I like paint.
That was a botch. Hold on.
So, anyway, that's how it's gonna go.
I think it was 2013 when I went back to my dad's and to help him out and go back to New York. And you're like, hey, I actually haven't watched wrestling in a while. And you're like, hey, this guy reminds me of you because he talks like you. He writes cryptic shit like you. And you should actually just hear him because he just reminds me of you and you would like him. I was like, all right. And then it came to Bray Wyatt. I was like, this guy's amazing. This guy is amazing. So as he progressed and he did all this stuff, I thought that they actually missed something when he left because I think regardless if you like him or not, people still respect his creativity.
And I'm one of those people. And I was a fan of, I was a fan of Bray Wyatt as a performer when they had the Wyatt family with Rowan and Harper. And I just thought he was just so good. As far as the acting part is concerned, I know calling it acting may not be, the correct parlance for
It's definitely more theatrical.
Yeah, hardcore wrestling fans don't want to use that term, I think, but he just pulled it off. He managed to just imbue everything, every aspect of his performance with that character. And it was interesting and it was unique and he did a great job with it. Where he lost me was The Fiend. I didn't like The Fiend. I'm not a horror movie fan. That character was specifically made for horror movie fans, and I don't like horror movies. He even had a Tom Savini designed mask.
Yeah. Think about it though. When he did the whole Bray Wyatt, with the Wyatt family, fucking amazing promos. He's amazing. I think you could tell that he had a lot of creative control.
Yes.
Just because of his outside stuff, when you see how he words his stuff when he tweets or does things like that. Yeah. Then when he invented himself as the Fiend, I myself thought it was brilliant that he had this family fun house that it was okay, it reminded me of Mr. Rogers and this and that or whatever.
I liked that.
The Fireflies family fun house was amazing to me.
Yeah. The Funhouse was fun. The Twisted Mr. Rogers was fun.
And
when it got supernatural is when it lost me.
But they both kind of went hand in hand because he would do that, and then all of a sudden he would turn into the Fiend. But what I enjoyed was that there'll be times when he just came out as Bray Wyatt as the Fireflies family funhouse where his character without the Fiend and the way he performed was way different than if he came out with the Fiend. So he was actually really brilliant of making sure that those two characters was different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I think it's cool though. I mean, as I remember it, it was just the funhouse for a while. And it kind of teased the Fiend a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it was just the Funhouse, and that was
they had
the
a
character.
lot of elements of the Fiend, yes.
And then the Fiend kind of started to creep in towards the end until he was just basically all Fiend.
When he first came out too, he was actually scaring people because the lantern that he used to carry from Bray Wyatt, I don't know if you remember, he put his own face around that lantern when he was the Fiend, so it actually looked it looked like his face was glowing or whatever. And then he came out that. No, he was not the best wrestler. We all know that.
I don't think he was, but I'm going to give him this. I don't think he was bad.
No, he wasn't bad. I don't think he's bad, but he shined more for his promos and his creativity in that way. I think,
but he did a thing that not every wrestler can do, regardless of actual technical skill. He was his character in every move, which I always appreciated. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think Moxley does that he doesn't get credit for, because Moxley is kind of, even though he's a regular guy character, there's still a character there and he never gets out of it.
Yeah.
Through, from bell to bell, he's still John Moxley. He's not all of a sudden just wrestling, technical moves that anybody else would do. It's still him. And I think that Wyatt was always really good at that. He never lost character.
The only thing with the Fiend that I will say negative on is like they didn't know how to book him right. I don't think he should have squashed everyone. I don't think he should have done like the way, because then it's kind of like, okay, he kind of buried a lot of people because they wanted to make him this strong thing. So it was the booking wise, I thought they did bad with the Fiend. Him as a character though, I thought he did brilliant at. And then he disappeared. I think he got let go. He got let go because Vince, everyone got let go with Vince. So some people said it was money, some people whatever. Well, and then
my guess is you kind of hit the nail on the head a minute ago, where he kind of was like, writing his own parts, right? Like he had creative control. And I think at a certain point, Vince is A, cutting money, and B, wants more control. Vince always wants control, I think. And so this guy, what did they do with him? I mean, you put it succinctly when you're like, he buried everyone. That didn't work. Well, I think it didn't matter why that happened, even though Vince was the one having him burying everyone. Yeah, he didn't know what to do with him anymore, because like, well, I had this guy who buried everybody. He's this sort of supernatural character. I don't know what to do with him now. I can't keep having him bury people, but I can't have anybody beat him because we established him as this unstoppable character. So let him go. He's going to probably have some ideas I don't agree with. I don't even want to go there.
I will say, like, bring it back to when he was Bray Wyatt as the Wyatt family. I mean, because he's Bray Wyatt in all of them. When he was with the Wyatt family, there's time and time again that he saved their asses. Because I remember when you started getting me to watch it because of him, there was like a year where they were making him do all these promos because he was saving them, because everyone was hurt. I don't know if you remember this. Everyone was hurt.
I don't actually.
There was a lot of shit going on where they were like actually sinking and they had no idea where to go to. So he was almost doing like 2 promos a day, like an episode almost, because they realized that the crowd loved him. Anything he did, the crowd always grabbed onto. He could actually say a saying and just say it a couple times in like in a promo. Then all of a sudden the whole crowd will just start doing that. And that's all of a sudden that he did that with the I got the whole world in his hands. He started singing that. Sure enough, he did that twice. Now everyone sung it. Like he just had this whole huge thing of like, no matter what he did, people just stared into, captivate. They just like glued in and said, okay, And there was a time with Bray Wyatt, with the Wyatt family, that they saved him. And then even when the Fiend, things were low and they didn't know what to do. So therefore, like, he was doing dark matches. Like even the live show that I went to. This is when he's popular. When he did a dark match at the end, he wasn't even supposed to be there, but they just know that the crowd wanted to see him and see his entrance and see his, what I'm saying? So they just had him after the show was over. He was actually the bonus, right? Like, and that says a lot, so, yeah. And then when he left, we didn't know if he was going to go to AEW. We didn't know if he was going to go to, back to WWE. And then they had all these little weird, videos and codes and shit like that for WWE. So we knew that he would probably come eventually. So after tonight at the pay-per-view event of Extreme Rules, after I watched this bullshit, I was getting mad. I was like, oh my, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh my God, this is, did I just waste my whole, because I haven't watched a WWE in like a long time. If I stick it on, I'm doing other shit. And even today I was doing other shit, but I'm like, I heard he was going to be, because he's my favorite character, like in anything. So I'm like, did I just fucking waste my time again? I'm like, and then all of a sudden, the lights go out, and then you see the fucking fireflies and stuff like that. And you hear the whole, he has the whole world in his hands, which I thought it was cool because it's going back to his old school shit. And then they showed all his new like the characters from the Firefly Funhouse. And then when he comes out though of the door, he has a different mask, but he takes it off and he has a regular lantern, which I'm so happy for, because it makes me feel that he's going back to the original somewhat Wyatt family, which I think will work so much better. Yeah. They already have Braun. If they wanted to put him in the mix, they could probably get Redbeard, because he's probably ain't doing shit. Yeah. So I mean, they could get it'd be cool if Brody was still alive and he was able to do it. That would have been great. But just seeing him made me so excited, because I'm like, okay, well, this made the whole entire fucking event, because now I don't feel like I wasted all this time watching this bullshit. And then when he comes out, it's like, oh, good. Now at least I know I have to like watch something of WWE.
We were chatting a little bit here and there throughout the day, and yeah, I turned it on because I really had no desire to watch it, but I was curious to see if Wyatt would show up. I assumed he would, so I was like, I'll turn it on right at the end. Every now and then I'll pop on WWE. Like I watched, I don't know, 10 minutes of WrestleMania, 20 minutes. Just like I want to see if Cody shows up.
They're not bad matches. It's just
No.
still yeah.
Yeah, I just should say 10 or 20 minutes. I don't remember. I was at my friend invited me over and I'm like, okay, I'll watch. I just want to see the Cody thing. So I just watched for like an hour, probably like an hour. I just wanted to see the Cody match. And once that was done,
that was a good match.
And it was exciting and it was a great match. And so this was like that was the last thing I watched of WWE. Yeah, so I put it on right when I put it on, the Fireflies.
Yeah, like you put it on perfect timing.
Yeah. You just saw like the cell phone flashlights on, and then it was highlighting the random characters here and there. There was some kind of a pig man.
Yeah, those are all from the Firefly Family Funhouse.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, I remember the Funhouse, and then I don't remember those specific characters. I didn't know what all the pig men were and whatever. And then Mercy the Buzzard, I kind of remember they showed that box in the room, I guess that was supposed to be the Funhouse.
Yeah.
Like a disused out of the abandoned funhouse room, and then he comes out through that door and it's glowing, and he's got some weird, I don't know, cyberpunk mask on, and has like
takes it off.
Well, first he has that distorted message: "Who killed the world? You did." Mm-hmm. It's like some like old sci-fi movie kind of or like Poltergeist, like old horror movie, like on the TV message. And then he comes out through the door and everybody goes fucking bananas when he pulls the mask off. And I didn't care at all.
Yeah. The funny part of it though is like once I was talking to my friend Marlena and I was like, man, did I just watch this bullshit without him coming out? Because I'm going to be honest. I'm like, that's the only reason why I watched this whole entire shit. Thinking, okay, when is he going to come out? Knowing I should have known that it was going to be the end. But I'm like, after they had the Seth Rollins and I don't even remember who, Matt Riddle, when they had that, I'm like, it doesn't make sense if he comes out here. So it was exactly 4 hours. And I'm like, okay, I guess he's not coming out. Maybe he's coming out on Raw. And then all of a sudden, that's when I saw the Fireflies and he came on. When they said the Fireflies, people got excited. Then when he sang the song of I Got the Whole World in His Hands, they got excited even more. Like, so they knew that he was coming. But even with all the theatrical shit, long thing that they had, when you actually see his face and you know it's reality, the crowd fucking went nuts. They went nuts. Like, yes, he is finally back. Like, you could tell people missed him because regardless, like I said, regardless if people hate him or love him or whatever, not only do they respect their creativity, it's something different. He is definitely, I feel like his character of anything he does is really different from anything that's out there. You know what I'm saying? Like you could tell, like, yes, no one's a Cody and no one's that, but there's still similarities to certain people. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with Bray. No one is anything like Bray. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. I hope they don't make it where he's going to be like he destroys people. I would like to. He doesn't even have to. He could just do freaking promos, comes out, scares the shit out of people. Like
I loved it when he was the best time for me of all the years of Bray Wyatt that I watched, which started with the Wyatt family and then ended with The Fiend. And I stopped watching WWE not that long after The Fiend started. But the best time for me was, I think, when he was hardly wrestling at all. He was basically, he was like, Rowan and Harper did most of the matches, and he would just walk out with them and then sit in a fucking rocking chair in the aisle while they had the match. And I actually thought that was brilliant. I thought the whole package worked great. The kind of like swampy music, they felt like some kind of like, I know people use the Duck Dynasty analogy a lot, but they felt like some like Louisiana swamp cult kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it worked. He was just like this messianic, swamp cult figure. And he didn't have to wrestle. And his presence, I thought, was better as like a guy who kind of sat in the fucking rocking chair being kind of weird and like, creepy.
everything in his promos, you could probably take like bits and pieces of his promos and put it like on a meme or a picture or whatever. And like people will be like, oh my God, that's really cool sounded. Like, even if you don't like wrestling, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he just says certain things and you're like, you could just stick that on, and people who doesn't even know if it's a wrestler or not, be like, wow, that's really cool or deep or, you know, whatever. So he just has this whole charisma about him. And so I'm really excited to see him back. I was actually waiting for him. I was hoping he would be in AEW, but now he's not. So I'm going to have to follow a little bit more in WWE.
I would.
Like I said,
it'd be nice to. I don't know that I would have wanted him in AEW personally, but I'm curious to know, like, what would he have done? What would the character have been? Right? He wouldn't have been able to fall back on the old WWE characters. He'd have had to do something completely new. I mean, so I'm curious. I would like to have seen it. Maybe it could have been something that fits better with AEW, and I would have liked it.
He's so creative, though. I guarantee you, he could have done something where he was a leader of Dark Order, like not like, you know, something like what Brody was, and it'd be almost like a nod to Brody Lee, where he could have done something like that. You know,
I think that could have been cool, and I think they could have kind of revived the Dark Order if Tony could have ponied up the money that he wanted. I'm guessing. I don't know. Who knows why? I mean, got to give Triple H some props. Like, he's bringing people back, and they seem to be digging it. The ratings are up. The fans seem to be a lot happier.
But like when he came out, I think I messaged a couple of people. I messaged Ellie, and I messaged like a couple of people who's already sleeping, who's going to come up and be like, this guy sounds like a 12-year-old little, because I was just so, I'm like, oh my God, Bray's back. You know? So, I'm just looking really forward to it. Even if I like don't even watch it and just download the promos and watch his promos online or whatever, I'm just glad he's creating, because he just needs to create. And I think that from any company or whatever, he's different. And he's, like I said, he's the one that got me. You're the one who got me and said, hey, you have to watch this guy. And when I watched him, I don't know if you remember any of that.
I don't remember it, but I believe you.
Because it's exactly what you said. You're like, you gotta watch wrestling, because I think this guy you're gonna like. He kind of talks like you and blah blah blah.
This was still when he was Wyatt family.
The Wyatt family.
Right. Okay.
And this is when I first moved back with my dad to help him out and help me out, whatever, in 2013. And you're like,
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, I really think you should, blah blah blah, because he said he talks just like you and blah blah blah, and so I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. And then also my dad remember me watching wrestling when I was a kid. They used to always buy me WrestleMania and Royal Rumble, whatever. So he started watching. He goes, "This guy's like really cool." That's
funny.
Even he liked him. So
that's awesome.
So so when you could to sit there and get everyone involved, I think that's I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. I'm just very excited because, like I said, he's totally different. He brings something new, and AEW has to watch out though, because he's going to get a lot more fans again to watch again. I believe he's that popular that people will start again. Triple H is doing a lot of moves. He's doing and the fact that he's doing, like you said, I think you mentioned it, because he's doing like a lot of things that he's undoing what Vince did, and he really is.
It's funny because it's validating to so many people. Every dork like us who has some bullshit podcast, who acted for like 10 years like they knew better than Vince, are all getting a pat on the back now saying, yeah, we were right. We did know better than Vince. Yeah. Right? Because Triple H is coming in and undoing everything that Vince did and doing a lot of the stuff that we said should have been done a long time ago. And it's getting better ratings.
And it's people who said that they don't want to work there ever again. Then all of a sudden Vince leaves and then Triple H takes over and they're like, oh, we want to work for you again. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Bray Wyatt would have ever came back to WWE if it was just Triple H. I think if Vince was there, he probably wouldn't come back. He probably wouldn't be asked to come back. He probably would have been in AEW if Triple H wasn't back. But I think because he has he has so much to work with.
Yeah.
He built, damn well he built his whole entire shit. That he had a lot of creative control. He's one of the few people that says, okay, you know what? You just do you, and you just get it out there.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure every minute, every second of that reveal tonight, from the first note of the song or the minute the lights went out, was all him. And then we'll put a spotlight on the pig man, and then we'll show the abandoned funhouse. That was all on one of his notepads. The
AR codes or Q codes or whatever they had, where like
QR codes.
Yeah, QR codes where they went to
Wait, did I just tell you a technology thing? Did that just happen?
Yes, it did.
Roles are reversed. The student is now the teacher.
Yes. After two, when you're drunk too, you forget everything. But yeah, they had that for like a couple of weeks where it would go to another video and reminded me of like the old fashioned, like Nine Inch Nails did that, and they had like the whole like with one of his albums and stuff like that, and so you could tell that it was brewing, and when it happened though, the crowd did pop. I mean, he came out for no reason. Like it wasn't like during a match or this and that. He was just like, "I'm here," and everyone just went fucking nuts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was no rhyme or reason. Just, I'm finally here, and just everyone's going nuts, and they're loving it.
And that was it. And that's like, I mean, that's the way to do it too. I mean, I honestly like. So everybody's expecting the show to end close to the hour, right? So this was a 4 hour and 10-minute thing or something like that.
Yep.
So I remember I was texting him like, did Bray Wyatt show up yet? Maybe I'll put it on at the end and see if I can catch his entrance. And you had said something like, this isn't the match for it. And I'm like, well, it's been 4 hours already. If it's not now, when's it going to happen? I put it on. It was like 4 hours and 2 minutes in or something like that to the pay-per-view. And the entrance had started. The whole reveal had started with the fireflies and the song.
Yeah.
Right when I put it on. So it's like, they were smart because they kind of made it seem like it wasn't going to happen because they just went just barely enough over the hour to fit this in. Basically, it was like at the end of the show, 4 hour mark, 4 hour and 1 minute, there's the entrance.
Yeah.
And then the last 10 minutes is the reveal. So it's like a 4 hour and 10-minute pay-per-view. And then they do the reveal and that's it. So you're still going to get a fucking huge rating tomorrow night or Monday night because they're going to want to see what's going to happen next. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the entrance, the surprise-ish, right? Because it was teased, but surprise-ish entrance. But you also get the big rating on Monday because you want to see his first thing because he hasn't actually done anything yet.
This was actually amazing too because like since you didn't watch it and I watched the entire bullshit show, they in the beginning they did show like a little like a segment of the White Rabbit thing that they had. That was another thing that they had on in the past for a tease for him. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna fucking make that be the whole like tease thing for the whole night. And then throughout the show, the crowd was chanting, "We want Bray. We want Bray." Like
funny.
They actually chanted that a couple of times. I heard that. I'm like, that's hysterical. And I think it was funny because when, like you said, when the show ended, it just ended. It almost seemed like they were going to go like away. Like, so like you're thinking, okay, that's it and blah, blah, blah. But then that's when they put it out. So it's almost like it almost gave you like this whole disappointment. Cause I was disappointed. I was like telling my friend Marlena, I was like, man, this is bullshit. I just watched this 4 hour show and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And now nothing's going on. And, it seemed like almost the lights were going to go on. And then all of a sudden it went off and she's like, wait a minute. So like they still had that whole, they still had that whole disappointment and then it still did it. So,
well, that's smart too. I mean, make you believe that it's not going to happen and then, get your spirits low and then bring them back up.
Yep. I'm just very excited. That's pretty much what this whole podcast is about.
Listen,
I'm very excited to see.
For me, if you're gonna have a horror themed wrestling gimmick, Danhausen.
Yes, totally the same.
It's got to be well, I think Danhausen's original gimmick was a lot like Bray Wyatt. It was supposed to be serious. He made a bunch of like YouTube videos of like some creepy, weird, like lo-fi, like real, like horror shit. Not for me, but he decided to be funny with it, which for me it works. He's like Lotka from Taxi. He's the Andy Kaufman of horror.
See, the Firefly Funhouse, I could actually like probably watch those. Like you go to YouTube and just like watch the segments, and just watch his promo. Because to me, I thought they were hysterical. And then like I could even go back and watch the 2013 promos of Bray Wyatt and still get intrigued by it and still pick up certain things that I don't realize he said because I don't think people realize how smart he is when he writes stuff. And so even today, I could like listen to a message that a promo that he wrote fucking 9 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, I never even heard of that he said this, or like one of his promos, like you'll see everything flash, and I'm like, I never saw that happen. Like he's just very smart.
Just pick up on more stuff. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you're booking WWE in 2022, they call you up. Hey, Richie, book WWE. What do you give him like a little like family again? Do you put like a couple of disciples with him? Do you put him on his own? Do you do like
here's my intake, and this could be totally wrong. I'm just saying what my intake is. The when you saw the little characters in the promo tonight, when you saw like the bunny and the pig, and you know what I'm saying, the buzzard, it was there too. Like when you saw those characters, they were only puppets in his Fireflies funhouse, right? But they made them into actual human beings dressed up in clothing. I wonder if they're gonna do it where little by little they'll be revealed as other wrestlers, but that's actually going to be his clonies.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You think
like
that they'll make like the Pigman's going to be like a character?
Yeah, I think that, like, not like where maybe he won't fight like dressed as the pig, but you'll find out like where like eventually he'll take off the mask and it's a wrestler that we know, but he's part of them. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like each one has their own.
Yeah.
Because why else would you have him as a human form? Why wouldn't you just show him as the puppet form then?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You might be right. Maybe,
so
maybe Pigman from Parts Unknown.
Yes,
will be.
And because he went back to, he has a mixture of everything. I feel like they probably will. They probably will do it where, it's gonna be interesting. I'll definitely watch Raw now just to see a promo. Like, I mean, eventually I'll probably end up just watching on YouTube and stuff. I know that because I ain't gonna want to watch the whole entire bullshit. But
you don't want to see Braun Strowman.
No.
Versus Baron Corbin.
Well, here's the thing too. Like, this has nothing to do with Bray, but when I was watching the show tonight, yes, it was decent. I'm like, all right, these are fun matches. But like, first of all, they call them extreme matches. I don't know why you call them extreme matches, because like we see these matches all the time in AEW, like almost every night. And then like, so it just didn't seem like, it's like, okay, these are cool, but I told Marlena this. I said, I haven't watched like WWE in a while. Like sometimes I'll put on the pay-per-view event once in a while just to have it in the background. But they are a company that you could literally not watch for 6 months and then watch the pay-per-view, and it's almost like you never left. Do you know what I'm saying?
Good? I guess that's good.
Well, it's good, but at the same time, it's like where the feuds last forever. It seems the same exact people. Like this pay-per-view was the same exact people that I've probably seen like 7 pay-per-views ago. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know like AEW sometimes does that a little bit, but not nearly as bad. Where it's, how many times can you watch Seth Rollins and freaking,
that's freaking Rollins.
That's freaking Rollins. And, Ronda Rousey was there, and like all the same people were just there. So it's like, okay. And their characters are not that good. Like after you see them a billion times, you're like, so that's why I know I won't watch them religiously again, just because it didn't feel, I enjoyed the matches, but I'm like, nothing really like sat there. I'm like, oh my God, like first of all, they had a ladder. I know this is a tangent, but they had a ladder match, and I fucking hate ladder matches because I'm so done with them walking up the ladder slowly and like have to place it the right way, and all of a sudden they don't know how, they look up for like 10 minutes just to see where it is, then they slowly go, you know what I'm talking about, then
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Every company, the AWW, they all do the same ladder match. You're like, come on, motherfucker, you know how to climb a ladder. But that's just a tangent with me.
I could talk about that too forever. It's like,
so
AEW, you trying to do something new, you just do the same WWE ladder match.
Do
it different.
So but that was a tangent. But with all that shit said and done, I have to say that this pay-per-view was probably the best pay-per-view because Bray Wyatt is back.
I'm gonna ask you one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 2 favorite wrestlers.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, they are Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. No, I mean
no, not Samoa Joe, but you probably
Eddie Kingston.
Yes.
Pretty different wrestlers. Different gimmicks, very different, especially if you're talking about The Fiend, who's kind of like a supernatural horror gimmick, and Eddie Kingston, whose like whole shtick is like, I'm a regular guy. I'm a tough guy from the streets.
And I will tell you, this will explain a lot.
Yeah.
It would, me, most people don't. But Bray Wyatt has the whole cryptic talk, the way he says things, like, is always in like puzzle form, right? That's how I pretty much. Yeah, and that's all I do on Facebook and things like that. It's always cryptic talk. I'm always talking about someone specifically, or this and that. It's always cryptic. So that's that. And then you have Eddie Kingston, who you're just fucking relatable. You just because he's fighting his demons. He sits there and like he deals with depression and this and that, whatever. He's just a relatable guy and he's dealing with the same shit that I deal with that you're fighting. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like one's realistically where that's who I am. And then Bray Wyatt, where in my mind, when I go into the whole fucking weird shit, when I start writing and playing chess and this and that, you have Bray Wyatt. So it's almost like both of my personalities.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I mean, and I know you pretty well. And like what people don't know, or like you do puzzles. Mm-hmm. You're very into like, especially the what are they called?
Mind puzzles,
tactile puzzles.
Yeah, the mind puzzles and shit
mind
like that.
Puzzles, tactile puzzles, any kind of game. And like, you and I will play games. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll play games against each other, and I don't think I've ever won a game against you. And we've been friends for like 20 years. Like, you're a guy who like, games, puzzles, anything with figuring stuff out. Like, that's your brain. Yeah. And like you said, the way you talk about things, you like to kind of like code things in messages, and like, and you'll write to me on the side like, did you see my last post? Let's see who figures out what I'm trying to talk about. Yep. But yeah, then the Eddie Kingston is just that real life, like
just a real life, because I still battle my depression, still battle my demons. So I'm like, right. So it's just both.
And then New York too, just like. Tell it like it is. Why can't we all just be fucking direct and say what's on our mind, and be honest with people, even if it's the wrong thing to say? At least we're being honest.
So it makes sense that these two are my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah. Okay.
On that note, Bray Wyatt is back. Bray Wyatt is back, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, and somehow this ended up being another fucking 30-minute episode.
It's Bray Wyatt. He deserves it.
He's got